My essential question: how does one cope with and experience beauty in the world despite disability of one or more of their senses? It's a nice poster on Deafblind Awareness Month, which is the month of June. Tactile communication with a deafblind person and someone reading Braille. More tactile communication with the deafblind. The first book in the multicultural text, Helen's Big World. Helen was blind, deaf, and unable to speak from a very young age. She lived in a dark and silent world. It did not matter that she had handicaps. She was ambitious. She had great strength and great knowledge. A quote that I found that I liked from Helen Keller: "We do not think with eyes and ears, and our capacity for thought is not measured by 5 senses." The second book from the multicultural text, My Heart Glow. Alice was a young deaf girl. She had lost her hearing from spotted fever. She had had a hard time joining other children playing games because it was confusing. She had thought that she could see out, but other people could not see in. The next book in the text set, She Touched the World. Laura was a girl who was struck with scarlet fever. She had lost her sense of sight, hearing, smell, and even most of her taste. She had performed poetry on stage and met famous celebrities. No one believed a child with severe disabilities could be reached. While other children played, Laura was a prisoner of her own body. She was ambitious and bright. She wanted to experience the world around her. Beethoven. Most people do know that Beethoven is a brilliant composer who in fact was deaf. My rationale, exposing students to what they may not know. It teaches them acceptance and compassion. It fosters the beauty of the difference in others. I feel that the chosen texts are age appropriate for the 4th grade level. They're able to comprehend and be compassionate towards different disabilities. And the hands-on activities do bring awareness to what it may feel like to be a deaf person or a deaf-blind person. The time frame, I would say, would be roughly between 4 to 6 weeks. And there are a variety of activities between history, music, and writing that could be tied in. Researching the history of the first school for the deaf and the first school for the blind. Writing a letter to any of the characters in the books. Giving them advice of encouragement. What would you like to tell them or ask them? History, there are other famous deaf and deaf-blind people to write about. There were many remedies doctors prescribed to deaf people. Helen's Big World. Before reading this, students could do a quick write. How would you feel if you could not see or could not hear? Ask questions to the students about the pictures before reading each page. These pictures are very engaging pictures in this book. After reading, do a deaf-blind walk in the open hallway to give the students a sense of what it may feel like to be a deaf-blind person. My Heart Glow. Ask the students to fill out a KWL chart. What do they know about hearing loss? What do they want to know? During the reading, questions to discuss. How does Alice feel? Describe different points in time and reasons why she feels the lowest. And at what points does that change? And how does she enjoy life as she gets older? After the reading, the teacher may rewrite the book as a play, and the children can act it out. She Touched the World by Sally Hobart Alexander and Robert Alexander. Before reading, discuss the title. What could this mean? What are your thoughts? Actually touch a real Braille book to see what it feels like. During the reading, complete a question-answer relationship classroom chart with right there, think and search, author and you, on your own questions. After the reading, to lighten it up and be creative, I asked the students to write a raft. Beethoven. Before reading, an anticipation guide with true or false statements of facts or non-truth statements about Beethoven. During reading, teach the students note-taking skills, listen to Beethoven in the background. After reading, we can do a compare-contrast chart of individuals who are deaf-blind, what we have read about, how we felt in comparison, how they felt growing up, the good and the bad, how did they cope or not cope, how did their lives turn out after their struggles. A few interdisciplinary activities. In history, there are other deaf-blind and deaf people. We can create a newspaper poster. I did discuss this earlier in the timeline. In science, research and draw labeled diagrams of how does sound travel through the ear. What reasons does hearing loss happen? How does your vision work? What reasons does vision loss happen? Research and create advertisements for what technology or service providers help those who are deaf or deaf-blind. Invite a service provider to class to present. Music, watch the DVD on Beethoven. Hearing loss spelling test activity. Students accomplish spelling tests by listening to CD of varied levels of hearing loss, mild, moderate, severe, and profound. Reflection. I felt that there were many different avenues in choosing just one theme. I did like exposure to myself in reading different interesting children's books. The challenge is narrowing it down to one theme. I did pick something which is of strong interest to me. In my future teaching and teaching about author study, it does expose children to different types of literary voices, and it helps students to try out different types of reading, and it is something that is helpful to the reluctant readers to help them find something that they would enjoy.